Hello, all. Welcome to another episode of AWS Show and Tell. I'm your host, Anil Nadiminti. I'm joining today from New Jersey. I am a senior solutions architect here at AWS supporting our fintech customers. And today we have our guests who are going to present on an exciting topic. We have a lot of demos lined up as well. But before we go into the details of what we're going to present, I'll probably go through a quick round of intros here. Myra, you want to go next?
Yes, hi, thank you, Anu. My name is Myra. I'm a tech lead for AgentCore AI here at AWS. It has been 3 years that I'm having fun with agents, and it never gets boring. It is really excited how much we are doing, how much we're evolving, how much easier it gets at every interaction. So I'm super happy to be here today and talk about one of the coolest things that we've just recently launched.
And
Evandro.
yeah,
Hey, folks. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Evandro Franco. I'm New York, also New Jersey, New York area. Work with funny agents, but I'm like more than 5 years working with machine learning in AWS. Since machine learning is not a hot topic, and very happy to be here to share a little bit more of harness with you folks. Alex.
Hey, I'm Alex. I'm a senior software engineer here at AWS, also here in New York City. And yeah, I'm excited to show what we've built with AgentCore Harness.
let us know, folks, where you're joining from. I know, Myra, we're all like supposed to be in the East Coast, but I know you're traveling.
Yeah, I had to take a break in Seattle to enjoy the weather.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, right? So I'm sure you're having fun there. How's the weather there?
It's fantastic. I'm still not in the American measure, but it's
Yeah.
like 20 degrees Celsius, which is, yeah, t-shirt time.
Wow. Yeah, excellent, right? So, yeah, I mean, getting into the topic, we all our viewers love building agents, and that's why they're here to, watch us show some exciting stuff. I'm sure you've seen Myra in the prior episodes streaming with us on how to get your agents from POC to production, and we've done this a couple of times, right? So we've iterated on how to make things easier. But as we see this, evolve, most of the times all these agents have very similar plumbing underneath. We need to have a hosting framework. We pick the LLM, and then we hook up the various tools, maybe configure memory, being able to configure like identity, and all in all, right? So all of that scaffolding is required before you actually get to that AI logic, right? So today we are going to introduce agent harness, and we're going to show you how to make all of this very easy and simple. So I let Myra take you through this deeper dive on how to get there.
Yeah, let's go back to the picture we are used to, right? Which is this prototype to production chasm. We've heard our customers saying that it's hard to go from operating agents on your computer where everything works beautifully to having things scaling in production, bringing this business value for you, right? Like we all see that our customers create their agents, they're very excited, and then moving to production can take a long time. So we've been working this journey. We've created a AgentCore for that. So AgentCore is our AWS agentic AI platform for helping you building your agents, building, deploying, optimizing your agents. And it contains all of the necessary features for you to build your agent and to bring that agent to production. However, it is still hard because you have to connect the dots. You have to think about all of the setup. You need to think how to have the different models. So, like AgentCore allows any model, any framework, but you still have to build those. And then you have to think about the runtime environment, how to set it up, how to set the pipelines, how to integrate memory, how to integrate your tools. And all of this, when you're interacting it, it tends to be slow. So you have to redeploy, you have to retest. So it tends to be slow, and you tend to have a not super unified experience. So we heard more feedback. We here at AWS we work a lot with feedback. So please keep giving us your feedback. So we heard the feedback that it could be easier, and that you would like to have it faster and easier, and you want to go to production much like simpler way, and you want to focus on what the agent can do, right? And yeah, that's how we launched the managed agent harness in AgentCore. I know that harness is the hot word of the moment, which is connecting everything, right? It's giving the foundations for your agents to work. We are doing that in a managed way on AgentCore. So that means that we are simplifying the agent loop. We are making it easier for you to run everything with all of the beauty of AgentCore. So that means that everything that has already been validated in production by many customers is now available on the managed agent harness. So it's not eliminating what we had before, but it is simplified. So what happens now? When you're creating a harness, you're going to pass your agent configuration. You're going to pass like the model, the system prompt, all the tools and skills you want to use, any other configuration you want to have, and then you're going to create your harness. In the background, this harness is powered by all the beauty of AgentCore. So it will run on Strands Agents, which is our agentic framework. So it's being used by many customers, really validated. It will be deployed on AgentCore runtime. You can integrate memory. You can work with the identity part. So it means you can have IAM roles, but you can also connect your OAuth provider. You have observability out of the box. You can do evaluation. And since it is running on runtime, you have all the beauty of runtime. So that means you can attach extra storage, you can execute shell commands, you have the micro VM isolation, you can bring your container. So Evan was just talking that he was having some fun with agents and like executing the commands before this call. And yeah, like you can do that with Harness as well, but it's simpler. And then when you go on the invocation, like you are going to invoke your agent harness. So you're going to invoke your agent as before. But the beauty here is that you can change the configuration at invocation. So let's just say you want to test another model. Just pass that at invocation. All good, no problem. You want to test another system prompt. You want to make your agent funny. You want to make your agent more professional. You want to change a little bit how things are being handled, and you want to validate that. You can do that at execution time. The same with tools. Want to add another tool, add another skill. All of this you can do at execution time. So why is this really cool? Like the obvious one is prototyping, right? Like when you're experimenting with all of these new models, new capabilities, system prompts, tools, it makes experimentation really, really easy. So that is the cool one when you're developing your agent. But you can use those functionalities in production as well. And that's where things become very interesting. So think about personalization. I'm going to define how I want my agent to behave. I want to tell my system prompt that I'm Myra, and the agent knows that on the system prompt now, because you can pass that at invocation. So essentially you can have the same agent templates, let's put it like this, but you're passing some extra information. So it gets much more personalized. When we are talking about personalization, the next thing that comes in mind is multi-tenancy, right? Like think about agents that serve customers, but you have like different customers that serve their own customers. So now you have multiple tenants and you want to have this in your agents. So like, let's think about the tools that your tenants can have. Let's think about the way, like the mood your agent should have, like all of the branding, all of this you can pass to your agent. The next one that it's super, super important and underestimated very often is context management and tool selection. I know that our LLM models are getting smarter every time and it can handle a lot of tools. But as soon as the tool is in the prompt, the agent might decide to use this tool. If you don't pass this tool to the agent can never use this tool, right? So it's the more granular security you can have is not sharing the tool at all. So you can do the context management. When you're reducing the number of tools, your system prompt your prompt is also becoming smaller. That means you're paying less and your agent also becomes faster.
And
Uh,
the LLM
yeah.
selection, Myra, like will that still be from the Bedrock models? Is that something that you can do?
You can do Bedrock models, and we love when you do that. It's the best, right? But you can also do other models. So you can connect your OpenAI model, you can connect Gemini models. It's very open. So we are still having the openness of AgentCore here.
Thanks.
Cool. And yeah, so we're talking about a lot of the functionalities of it, but what about the use cases? Well, the use cases are endless, right? Like you can run your conversational agent because you have the session, you have memory, all of this. Because you're deploying it on runtime, you can have long-running agents as well. And since it's a runtime, you can have all of the capabilities of runtime. So coding assistance is easier to build as well because you can do execution, right? You're adding skills, so you can do like skills on the coding assistance. You can combine that with workload. So you can do a lot of those different use cases. So I think by now we are all convinced that Harness is amazing. I think it's really cool. But should we just move everything to Harness? Well, not really. Like it is really, really great to get started, to go to production as well, and it is the best way to like get started. But it is a managed solution, so that means that you will have a little bit less control on how the agent is behaving in the background. So like the loop of the agent is managed for you. So if you need something a little bit more customized, you can still use AgentCore. If you already have something on like runtime running on AgentCore, you can use it
And
and it
would you
will
say
work.
that maybe somebody could experiment with harness, get to know about how runtime is hosting it, and then feel comfortable, and then they could always get into agent core as well, like pure
Yes.
agent core,
I mean, Harness is using AgentCore, right? So you
right?
can experiment with it, and then you can drop to AgentCore as you need more fine-grained control over your agent. So yeah, it is making your life easier. But yeah, it is using AgentCore. So AgentCore is still pretty valid here. Let's just talk about all of the APIs. Parentheses here. This is a preview services, but we are bringing so much already on preview. So at preview, you can have all of the AWS SDKs because you have the control and data plan APIs. So you can interact with your agent using AWS CLI. You can interact with your agent using all of the AWS SDKs like Boto3 for Python. But on top of that, we are bringing the CLI experience. So we have our AgentCore CLI, which helps things getting started very easily. So it's a nice way of creating templates for agents that you can create your agentic application and add everything that you need there. And from day zero, we are having the integration of Harness with the AgentCore CLI. I'm gonna make a parenthesis here to tell you that you need to install the preview branch of the CLI. That will change as we move with the harness, but you can already have that, and that helps you creating your agent. Harness is the default configuration when you're creating it, but also invoking and adding harness to existing agents.
Yeah, and
Okay,
if you want to try and experiment with the CLI, the link is in the description, so you can check it out and then get to that repo and install that. Yep.
sounds good. I'm not gonna bore anybody anymore with that. I think we need to get started and we need to go to the practical experience, right? So, Evandro, do you want to show how it works?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Let's start by command line,
Oh,
right?
look at your terminal, right? So,
It's not on purpose.
yeah,
Everybody loves AgentCore, right?
yeah,
Yes, exactly. So first things first, you need to install the AgentCore CLI. Like with this command, I already have it installed here. Like you said, we have the link in the comments. Just remember, it's in preview, so you need to install the preview version, right? So just npm install for it. You can check the latest version at this moment. It's 7, so we can just get started with CLI by, let's say, AgentCore. If I just type this, it's going to start with the interactive mode, so I can kind of have a list of the commands that I can use to interact with AgentCore. So let's start by create a new project. Let's say my super nice demo for this. And you can see that now harness is the default option for this CLI. So we are going to demonstrate harness, but you can still create a runtime agent here if you want to. So let's stay with harness. Let's give the harness a name, nice harness demo, or lovely, nice. Lovely is better, right? So let's change for
There you go.
lovely
Right. I love that.
demo. And we can choose the model like you just asked us before, Anil. You can stay with Bedrock options, but you can use OpenAI, Gemini models, OpenAI compatible. You know, a few providers use the same structure from OpenAI API, so you can also bring them and
That's a
invoke
great
here.
point, right? So I think there are some open source models that you can use that are compatible with OpenAI.
Is a API exactly.
Yeah.
So let's stay with Bedrock. I will keep the default options for this demonstration here. I will not create a memory, but I have an option here in the
But
CLI
but since we
to,
are going through this experience, Evandro, so why don't you talk about this just quickly, right? So
yeah, I can, you know, like you can add a memory here. So this experience also will create a memory for you if you want to have, you know, persistent conversations, let's say, for long-term and short-term memory. Because even though AgentCore has, you know, a micro VM that persist your session for a period of time that can be until 8 hours. After it, if you wanna, you know, like make a personalized content for your customers, for example, you can just store the data into a memory, and when your user returns, let's say a week ahead, you can just get the last conversation, last thing, last, you know, orders and bring it back. For this, I'm not creating a memory. I would just keep the default options, but you have this option as well. All
Yeah,
of those options,
just to add to Evandra's
yeah,
point here, like persistent memory is really important even for short-term conversations,
yeah,
because the micro VM of runtime is really amazing and it helps in a lot of use cases. But just think about like disaster recovery, for instance, when you're using Agent Core memory, your conversation is recorded, even the short-term conversation, and then you can extract the long-term events. So when you're thinking about applications and you want to add this personalization, you want to add this user experience, you can connect the agent core memory. As Evandro mentioned, it's just a configuration you can do on the harness. When you're building your own agent, you also have to implement this memory connection.
yep,
So yeah, like this is where like the beauty of a harness is there, because when you're creating those, like even when you're generating the code, right? Like we are in the LLM age, right? So a lot of the code can be generated and it works pretty well. We have our MCP servers that connect to documentation, helps you creating that. But when you're creating those codes, you have to maintain this code as well. So that means that you're adding this complexity you have to maintain. Here we have Alex's team taking care of that for you and optimizing and making sure that everything is working properly as well.
yes, like you just mentioned, and like someone once said, let's see if people know who said that. Everything fails, so be prepared when it happens. So having a memory is very important in those situations because you keep, you know, even for short conversations, you have the history and you don't lose the context that you have. So that's it. Let me get it back and let us add a few tools here just to have a little bit more of fun. Let me add a web browser MCP, but you, as you can see, you can configure customized authentication like using OAuth and, you know, adding JWT tokens, configure to be used inside of VPC. You can configure the lifecycle parameters like idle timeout, how how long your micro VM will be alive after it's idle, and how long it can be, the entire lifetime, and limits session storage to have, like session data stored. Imagine you are, you have a skill that is shared. Also, you can have skills in harness. I'll show this flag in the console, but you can also bring, like having skills. Imagine you have a skill like to generate some private code for you, and then each session needs to generate its own test, for example. And get the result of that test. So it can be persisted in that session, so that session can access that information, and interact with files. So you can also execute like bash and operational system commands to operate files, access directories, folders, and so on. So this is pretty cool.
So we have a question coming in the chat, right? So the question is, if you launch it within your AWS environment, does it have the context of the environment itself, and can it interact with it, right? So I think this is more of the, or maybe if you want to take that.
Yeah.
So a harness itself has an execution role. So when you're creating a harness, you're going to pass your execution role that will define the permissions of that harness, because you don't necessarily want your agent to have every permission you also have. Like that depends on your application. So when you're passing the execution role, that's the permission boundaries that your harness will have. And then when you're interacting with the harness itself, it's interacting with the LLM in the background on the agent loop. And then this LLM can also call different tools. Those tools can interact with your environment. So let's just say you want to connect with your DynamoDB, you want to connect with your S3, you want to connect with any AWS service itself. What is important to mention here is that you have to add these permissions to your execution role. We have to always say that it is best practice to keep your roles as least permission, because you don't want your agent to do things accidentally that they shouldn't do, or you don't want you don't want to be surprised. Like, keep it as least permission. Security is job zero. That's something we always say. But you can build anything, right? Like, as soon as you have a tool, you can build anything. You have to pass the tool's description so that your agent knows when to call what. But essentially you can interact with your AWS environment.
And as we talk about that, we're in the tools menu. So you want to take it away?
Yeah, I'm gonna add a tool here. So I can add, like AgentCore browser to web browser. I can add a code interpreter to run code in a, like isolated environment. I can connect with a gateway. My colleague Alex will show that. I can also add like a remote MCP, HTTP. Let me just add, like MCP here. And I will add this URL to do web search using exa MCP. So this is my summary, and I will just hit create, and it's going to create my local directory so I can see my configurations before I hit the deploy command and create it on AWS. So before
So with 3 configurations, your agents can access the web and do web search, right?
Yes, exactly.
That's cool.
So I will just jump in my directory. I will just cat my harness JSON file here. You can see this is my config file. I have Bedrock, the model ID, the MCP with the tools I'm giving, no skills, no memory. And if I hit AgentCore create, it's gonna create it, and it's going to deploy in AWS. I have my credentials configured in this bash. You can use your profile credentials, temp credentials. It's my case, but I also have one ready just in case, to show very quickly. This one is already deployed, so I will just hit AgentCore invoke and say hi. Just to show you, this one is deployed, and then I will switch to here we go. Here I have my session, which I can reuse to keep the same. Let's say if I use the session ID option, use this ID that it generates, and what I just ask, it's supposed to have my history, right? You just said hi to greet me. That's all. So, and I have the same session ID. If I just don't use my session ID, it's going to spawn another session. Another cool thing the CLI offers is the inspector that I can just hit AgentCore dev, and it's going to spawn. Let me just switch screens here and just share my inspector web page. So when I hit dev, it runs like this local environment that I can test. It's connecting with my AWS console because it's interacting with the model. I have the harness deployed as well.
So
So,
is this
but
all
it's,
built in, Evandro? Like as soon as you run the inspect, it's going to.
yeah, it is a built-in inside the CLI. So it's already, you just need to run the dev and you have this to test, your agent. So let me play here and just make it, you are a helpful assistant. I will just say hi again just to show.
Can we make a funny assistant?
Sure, I think I don't like funny assistant. I prefer angry assistant. So you are, and I.
Well, it's a lovely assistant. That's how you named it, Evandro. So
So hey,
I don't know how the bot is going to respond when you ask for angry assistant.
Yeah, I think you have a typo in angry, so I don't know if it will.
There
oh
you go.
yeah, exactly. That's why.
So maybe that's on purpose, right?
Yeah, let's see. Let's see now how it goes. What you can do. Now it's angry. You already told you this, but fine, I'll say again. So this is very fun. Let me jump to the AWS console and just show you harness. If you just access AgentCore, AgentCore here, you will hit this screen. You will see that we have the harness option just in the left menu here. So you can just go and quick create a harness or advanced create a harness. I'm going to create this harness.
The quick button will create something with everything default. So you're going to have a
Exactly.
very helpful assistant that doesn't
Yeah.
have any tool connected to it, and that will already help you out. But you can also decide to create your own harness like Evandro is doing now. That will allow you to select the model, add memory, add tools, add all of it. So it
Yes,
is
exactly.
really quick to get started, right?
Yeah, exactly. I can add my skills here. I can point to my skills, file. I can.
Quick question, Evandro. What happens when you add a skill? Can you just use it?
I don't have a pre-configure here, but basically you will point to a directory, like you need to have, let's say, what you can do is ask your agent to generate a skill into your local file storage, and then you point here to the path for that skill. And when you invoke it, you can just pass the path for that skill. So it's going to consider that skill and run if it's applicable, like I can show in the test screen how to make it, but my environment is not ready. We can try, but just let you know. We have also other options, like I mentioned, like I can bring my own container. So this would be interesting for example, install the skills that I want to have it pre-configure, and then just point to the path for that skill that I want to use. I can configure network,
That
my
that's an
local
important
path.
point here,
Yeah,
right? Like when you're adding a skill, you're essentially adding the path to the skill, but
exactly.
your agent needs to know the skill. In order to get your agent to know the skill, you need to install it. You can install it from a local file system, when you're adding this local file system to your agent, you can install it from GitHub as well. Like, let's just say you have the path there.
Yeah.
But it is important when you're using skills to also install this skill. And you can do that by executing commands
Yep,
on your harness.
So that
exactly.
does it mean that if there is skill path is local, then what happens, right? So because the agent is running in runtime, so what does happen at that point?
It needs to be local to your runtime. So let's just say you're passing a file, and this you're passing an S3 file system
Hmm.
that has your skill there. You still need to install that locally in your runtime so that you have now the local file path as the skill. And then once you have that, your agent knows how to use that.
Yeah,
And Evandro showed me a very nice demo that his team did, where you can have a skill that processes Excel files and can interact with your Excel files, generate data reports, and everything like
by
that.
the way, this demo is in our public GitHub.
Exactly.
We will
Not
share
just
that
this
link.
demo.
Yeah,
Many demos are on our samples repository, and
yeah,
you can use them and already start building your application.
And that link is in the description, right? So just
Yeah.
don't forget to
yeah,
click that.
yeah. But the container here, I think, is the easiest way. Like you can build your own image with all the skills you want. Just bring your container and just point the path to the skill here. We have many other options. I will not create this one because I already have this
So
one
one
here.
question that is in the chat, coming in the chat is, this is like, so if somebody wants to do a RAG, and can they go with this option, right? So they can skip RAG if I want to access, let's say, DynamoDB.
So RAG is essentially retrieving data for your LLM. There are many types of RAG. We
Yep.
are in the Gen AI world, so of course, all of those vectorizations and like semantic search are very, very popular. And they're awesome. They work for many use cases. But connecting to a DynamoDB is also RAG. It is a RAG in structured data. So, yes, you can connect with your DynamoDB. You can have a tool that connects with your DynamoDB, collects this data, passes to your agent. How well this will work depends a little bit on your application and how your LLM is processing this structured data. In my experience, adding a little bit of context helps your LLM model
Yep.
to perform better.
Yeah.
Uh,
Go ahead. Go ahead. I know.
and since we're talking about RAG, right? So can we configure a harness to be able to access knowledge base? And how can we do that, right? So maybe let's touch on that as well.
Yes, you can have a knowledge base tool, and then you have your
Yep.
RAG accessing knowledge base. What Evandro had of like web search is also RAG. You're collecting data from the internet and all of that. We have a full application for today, so let's get to that as well. So we
Yep.
already saw how to create a harness on the console. You can also test in the console, as Evandro is showing. We saw how to create that on the CLI, how to test it on the CLI. So it is endless what we can do, right? So let's build. Let's look at the architecture that we are going to build today.
All right.
Alex
So
was having a lot of fun during the weekend creating this application. So can you explain to us what you're doing here?
Yes. I'm assuming you all can see the diagram I have on my
yep.
screen. Okay. So let me explain what we'll build. We have an open source bookmarking application. This is a very kind of simple application to kind of show you what it can do. I'll just delete this and I hit new link, and it just lets me save my links, right? And what we're going to do is add a little agent to it that's going to help me like summarize and organize my links. If I say hi right now, it's just going to say not implemented. So our goal is to actually wire this up in like 20 minutes. So we'll see if we can actually do it.
A little bit of a side joke here. Alex is being modest because this is his application to collect a lot of links and organize it. So in the area where we are getting new things every day, this is pretty useful, and I
We,
was impressed on how cool it is.
we have all these links in our browsers as well, right? So Alex, maybe
Yeah.
just create a tool to get the browser links and then have them here as well, so it's easy to sort through. Because I'm always trying to find my links.
And the best thing, Alex, open source it.
Yeah, so it is fully open source. So it's all on GitHub. You can play with it. You can hack it. You can do whatever you want. And I created this to solve this problem for myself of just having way too many tabs open all the time. So yeah, if it helps, yeah, that makes me happy.
The link to that repo is in the chat, folks. So you feel free to click that.
Cool.
And like it, right? So yeah, why not?
Great. So this is the approach of how we're gonna build this like assistant that we have on the right here. So we've got our API. So when we type in here, that's gonna call an API called converse that's on our linksort backend. What's gonna happen is we're gonna call a harness. So we're gonna wire up a harness in just a few minutes. That harness is gonna be connected to AgentCore memory for the conversation history, and it's also gonna be connected to an AgentCore gateway. Gateway is another AgentCore product that's actually very cool. And what's cool about it is that it allows you to take APIs you already have. So in this case, linksort, it already has APIs to get links, to create folders, and so on, but they're not accessible to AI agents. So what you can do with Gateway is you can give it an open API schema, and then it makes those APIs accessible through MCP, which agents know how to speak. So I could just show you over here, if we go to manage account, API docs, right? We've got this whole open API schema, right? And so it's just publicly available here. I am running this in development mode though, just so you all know. So we're going to create that gateway. We're going to connect it to the harness, and then we're going to play with it in the console, make sure it works. And then if we have time, and hopefully with a little bit of luck, we're going to wire it up to the actual application and see it working end to end.
So we're building a quick AI agentic application right in front of.
That's right. Yeah. So let's see. We'll see if we have enough time to do it. I think we can though. Okay. So let's get started. What are we going to do first? Let's go to the AWS console. And I'm going to go to AgentCore. And I want to start actually by creating this gateway we were just talking about. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to hit create gateway. I'm going to call this linksort. We're just going to have it create a role for us. We're going to use IAM permissions. And then I'm going to choose an MCP target. This target will also be called linksort. And we're going to define a REST API. So we've got our open API schema, and I'm going to paste this in.
A little parenthesis here as well. You might have missed it because we keep launching a bunch of stuff, but Gateway right now can also allow you to connect to runtime. So you can have a gateway that it's not connecting to tools anymore, but it's connecting to agents. That's why Alex had to select the MCP target there.
That's right. And so we need an API key here. So I'm going to just take the API key I have for this particular account. I'm going to show the key. We're in development mode, so it doesn't matter too much. And I'm going to register this with AgentCore identity. So I'm just going to call this linksort demo. We're going to create this key. We're going to hit add. So now I've got my key inside of AgentCore. And then we'll come back over to the gateway creation. And I think I need to get this to reload. There we go. So now I've got my linksort demo key in there.
So at this point, what did we do, Alex? Right? So we're trying to, maybe if you want to summarize what we did.
Yes, yeah, let me explain. So linksort's API requires an API key to use it, so it knows who you are. So when we call these APIs through the gateway, right, it's got to include a bearer token, so it knows like, hey, it's me calling. So it's going to call the API to like get my links and create folders for me and so on and so forth. So that's what we're configuring right now.
Cool. Yeah. And when you created the target as MCP target, like what did you do there?
Yes. Yeah. So it's a MCP target. And I'm just giving it the open API schema that we were looking at earlier, right? So if you already have an API, and there are many APIs out there where they're not like MCP compatible natively, but if you have a open API schema, you can just throw that into Gateway, and then now you have an MCP that you can give to your agent. So this like makes it a lot easier to expose like APIs and tools to your agent.
So your internal API just got MCP-fied as part of this creation process.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'll hit create. Hopefully I didn't make any mistakes here.
And the reason you have to pass this open API schema is because your agent still needs to understand natural language. So you need to have the description of the tools, not just their URL, right? So I loved how Agentic AI makes us better developers as well, because now documentation of what your tool does, all of its parameters, it's not just important for your colleague to understand what your tool is doing, but it's also important for your agent to act on it.
There you go. Yep.
All right. So now we're going to create a harness. We are going to just use the default model. Like as we were talking about earlier, you can also use OpenAI or Gemini. We'll stick with the default from Bedrock. It's actually a really nice model. I'm pasting in here a system prompt that I put together ahead of time. So it just tells the agent like, hey, your task is to help users of this web app organize their links. It gives it some context on like, what the app does, how it's like laid out, what these different pages are. So if people ask questions, like they'll get reasonable answers. We are also going to wire up a memory instance. So that should be fine. We're going to use these existing configs. So basically, like I created this memory ahead of time. It's got two features: short-term memory, which we were talking about, and also long-term memory. With long-term memory, I can say things like, remember my favorite ice cream flavor is chocolate, and then it will like remember that across different conversations they may have. So that's like a simple, little example, but you get the kind of the impetus there. Next, we'll get to the key part here. I've got my tools. I want to choose this gateway that we just created, and it's going to auth with the IAM role.
So then what does it mean, right? So now when you select IAM role for this particular gateway tool, what is happening there?
Yes, so the auth can get a little complicated with agents. So the way this works is the harness is going to be auth with, let me see if I have the diagram here. So from here to here, this is going to use my API key, like from this arrow. This is going to use AWS auth. So it's going to be the backend linksort calling the harness. And then the harness, this is also going to use AWS auth. And then when we go outbound from the gateway, that's going to use the linksort API key again, right, to go back around to call the linksort API.
There you go. That's helpful now. Yep, thanks.
Yeah. All right, and we're gonna, I think we got this. We don't have any skills for this one. We already looked at some of the advanced configurations. And we are going to create a new role because we're creating some new resources here. So this should.
So at this point of time now, our harness is being created, which can access the linksort REST APIs as MCP service, right? Yeah. So that's, yeah.
But we'll take a few seconds to come online. I also want to just update this role. So there is one permission that should be added, and it will be added very soon, but it's not there right now. So I want to hit edit, and there's one thing down here. Okay, yeah, it's not auto added yet, but it will be very soon. I have this little guy here. I'll pass this in. So this is the execution role that Myra was talking about earlier. So this specifies all of the different AWS APIs that the harness is allowed to call. I'm going to give it permission to invoke gateway right now. So you'll see it's like by default, it's got permission to call code interpreter, browser, a bunch of other stuff. So I'll hit next, save changes, and there we go. Okay, let's jump back over here. Okay, we're in ready state. So now we can go ahead and start testing the harness. And let's just say, hi, tell me about yourself. There we go. Okay, and you can see it's like knows about linksort, so on and so forth, anything you'd like to do with your links today. Okay, let's now try something kind of cool. Let's see if this integration actually works. So we've got my links here, and let's ask the agent like about my links, like what can you tell me about my links? All right, so it's calling the get links API. There we go. So you can see it actually got my links, and it can kind of tell me some stuff about them, which is pretty cool. Right, and we can see here, get to your first working agent minutes, introducing agent quality loop. And indeed, those are the first few links I have. Let's do one more quick demo here, which I think is kind of cool. So let's say organize my links into folders for me. Keep them flat, please. Okay. Okay, so it's going to create 3 folders.
It's doing some CRUD operations, right? So
Yes, yeah.
And it knows how to create folders because your linksort knows about it, right?
Yeah, because linksort has a create folder API, right? And it's got this update link API that it's now calling. And you can see, so it created these folders and it added these links to those folders. So if we jump back over here, there we go. So you can see right there, it created these folders. And if I click there, you see it added all of these links to those folders, which is pretty cool, right? Like, I don't know about you all, but like I have so many tabs all the time, and like keeping the things organized is like
Everybody does.
yeah, you're not alone.
Yeah. So okay, so we've played with this. We've verified that this works. Now let's get to like the hard part. And I don't know actually if this is going to work here. But let's try it out. We still have enough time. So now the last step is to actually integrate this agent that we just prototyped here on the AgentCore console into the application. So to do that, I'm going to use Kiro.
So the POC is done, right? So the POC is done now. You're trying to integrate that. Yeah, there you go.
You have your agent running. It does what it should. We just want to have the right interface to interact with it, right? So essentially, you're going to use the harness APIs here.
Yes. So I'm going to use Kiro to write the code to integrate this, the agent that we just created into the existing application. I wanted to use, oops, there we go. I guess they switched this here. Here we go, Kiro default. And then I want to use model. Set current as default. Oh my gosh, they changed this. Let's see.
Everything changes.
Do you guys have a new syntax for changing the model? No?
I'll go with the default model.
Yeah? Tab for, okay, here we go. Oh, I just do, oh, let's try this again. Hold on. They changed the interface here. Let's try this one more time. Agent, there we go. Amazon Builder, then I do model. There we go. Okay, I want to use Cloud Opus 4.6 just because when I was playing with this ahead of time, I did get it to work with Opus 4.6. So, okay, so I prepared this prompt ahead of time, and I want to share like this prompting strategy that's been working for me just in my work as an engineer here at AWS. Right, skills are very popular, and I use skills all the time. But the strategy I've actually found to be the most effective in my work is to give like what I've been calling a mega prompt. So in this prompt, I tell the AI, like, you're running inside of this code base. I give a little context about what it is. I tell it to familiarize itself. I also tell it to use subagents and parallelize where possible. And then I give it the task. So here we're going to say, our goal is to wire up an agentic chat in this application. We already have the APIs we need for conversation management, so on and so forth. I'm also telling it how to get the information it's going to need to resolve like the information about the harness. So I actually need to pass in the harness ID here. So let's go over here. Let's grab the harness ID, which is this guy. Right. And yeah, and I give it some kind of like broad instructions to say we need to create a Bedrock AgentCore client, pass it through to the correct class, and then wire up the invoke harness API call and stream back the events. And then this is the key part that I hope folks will appreciate. Like, one of the keys to making agentic development work really well is giving the agent a closed loop. So what I mean by that is giving the agent the ability to call the APIs that it's trying to implement, get the errors, and then like iterate just like a human would. So the strategy I took for doing that in this application is that when I started the server, I started it with T and then like piping the output to a log file just called backend log. So if I do tail backend log, right, you see the same output from that file as I see in the console here. And what I'm going to do in this prompt is I'm telling the agent like, hey, the backend and frontend servers are already running. They're accessible through localhost. They auto recompile and restart, and you can get the logs if you just tail like backend log and frontend log, right? And I also say, hey, you got to test your work with curl. This is critical. And I think that should be enough. Let's just kick it off and see what it does. Let's keep our fingers crossed here. So this is Kiro, which is kind of like, you can think of it like a version of Claude Code. And yeah, I use it every day.
So all your MCPs are integrated, so it knows exactly how to pull the details, and it's looking at the logs as it's building this app. So maybe I think for the next iteration, we should also integrate the browser as well, so that it can hit the endpoints from the browser,
Yes.
then verify that everything looks as it's supposed to look, right? So I think there's a lot of tooling that we could definitely use to help us, when we have this agentic development on the way. So yeah, we're demonstrating Kiro CLI here, but again, we could have like Kiro IDE and other Cloud Code and codecs also out there, right? So yeah.
Yeah, I'm a terminal guy myself. I pretty much try to do everything I can at work in the terminal here. So I like to use Vim, and I like to use Kiro CLI or some of the others as well. All right, so now it's going to try to implement this. Let's see what it does.
So for our viewers, that are checking this out, Alex, how did you split your terminals like that, right? So did you use Tmux? What did you
Yes,
do?
I'm using Tmux. I love Tmux, so we can do another split right here.
There you go.
Yeah, and then so I use Tmux, and I usually edit with Vim. So like in this app, it's in Go, and so we'll see the agent work here, right? We already have like some AWS clients on here. We've got like an STS client, CloudWatch logs, Bedrock runtime, and
Yeah.
we'll see what it does.
Look out for another probably tutorial from Alex on Tmux, right? So
yeah. Let's see. I feel like Kiro was just updated recently, so it's behaving a little bit differently than when I was testing this out. So hopefully, hopefully this will work.
So while this is baking, right? So what kind of applications do you see users building Myra and Evado, right? So our end users with Harness, right? So we just launched this, so in preview, right? So what are you seeing in folks build?
I see a lot of customer support actually, because conversational AI, it's like works well. It makes your experience better as well. Sometimes I'm booking tables at restaurants and so on and talking to someone. I'm not sure if I'm talking to a person or an agent nowadays. So I think this is very popular. Coding assistance is something we are seeing more and more as well.
Yep.
Deep research as well. And then I love the applications that help you being more effective. So we had a customer, for instance, that was replying emails with agents. And yeah, like saving so much time with this replying. I sometimes want a agent that replies my Slack as well. That would be really cool. Evandro did some WhatsApp agents, right?
Also in Slack, I have a bot replying on my behalf.
Oh, that's why you're so fast.
So essentially, we're taking the integrations, right? So we are making it possible to explore and iterate faster with Harness, to be able to connect with the tooling and accelerating the AI development, I guess. AI driven development.
Yes. Yeah, I think this is like kind of just like a little fun side quest here as well, because like I kind of wanted to share these like AI prompting techniques that I think are kind of fun, that I know everybody's kind of getting the hang of in the industry.
Alex, we are getting the question if you're going to put all of it on GitHub so that people can try by themselves.
Absolutely, yes. Oh wait, so the agent, it has figured out it needs like a token. I'm gonna say use this token to test with Chrome. Yes, sorry, yes. Yeah, I would like, so the code base for linksort is already completely open source. You can see it all. And yeah, if there's anything else that folks are interested in, I'd be happy to share what I can.
Also, they can watch the video and see the step by step. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, so this is kind of cool. I don't know if you all saw what just happened here. Like, so the agent, it used curl, it hit a 500 error, and then it was able to look at the logs to figure out that the error was that the runtime session ID was too short by seeing the error in the log. And then it went ahead and made this code change. And now it's trying to call again. And oh, look, it says, okay, look, we actually got a response here. It's working perfectly, it says. All right, so it's saying it's complete. We have like 4 minutes left. Should we do an end-to-end demo and see if this actually works?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Let's
Do
try.
that. Let's say, hey, what can you tell me about my links?
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. Oops. Looks like it's working.
It's there.
There you go.
Look at that.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah.
Alex, I
Okay.
have a question. Can you show us in the AgentCore Observability
Oh,
console?
excellent. Yes. Let's check that out.
So now just imagine your customers are organizing their links. Evandro had all of his links organized in folders, and there is something happening. You don't know what. You need to debug. How are you going to do that? Alex
Yes.
is going to solve our problems now.
Yeah. So we have AgentCore Observability, which every harness is wired up to automatically. So like here's a session we were just working on. Each session, like so conversational session or kind of like harness session, has a bunch of traces associated with it. So in this case, we've got one trace that's got 39 spans. And so you can see exactly what the harness was doing. So it, created an event in memory. We've got all this context here. What can you tell me about my links? You see, here's how the agent responded, get links. You can see the full response and everything. So you have like a whole bunch of context to figure out like how your agents are behaving. And this gives you the information you need to know how to like, change their behavior and tune them and like improve your system prompt and so on and so forth.
It's awesome. And it's all on OTel, right?
Yes. Yep. All OTel compatible spans. That's right.
You can see the tokens, the latents, all good information. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I pasted the link in the chat, folks, for you to explore. But then with that said, I know we're getting closer to the end of the time. So, any closing comments for us as we try to wrap the session?
Yeah, I think in less than 1 hour, we saw what's harness. We got it started on the console with the CLI. We tried out lots of things, right? We got an angry agent, we got the happy agent. Everything was very quickly to get started. So this is already really cool, but we didn't just like try it out. We did a real application. So Alex managed to put together a full-blown application with the harness and connect that to a front end in less than 60 minutes with the code being developed by Kira, right? So the conclusion here is like your life just became way easier because now things are being connected for you. And this whole harness of the infrastructure, of the agent loop, of everything that you need to create your application that will run very reliably and in production is there. It's managed for you, right? So it is really cool. To me, this is one of the coolest launches we had in the past weeks. It is definitely not the only one, right? So I think we lose track of all of the cool stuff that is being launched. Lots of you wanted the VPC egress, it's there. We launched registry, we launched lots of improvements on the CLI as well. So do try it out. Do get started with AgentCore and let us know what you think as well.
Thanks. Yeah. So, Evandro, I think.
Yeah, just thank you. Thank you all to watching us. A huge kudos for Alex that built this in like 1 day, right?
Thank you.
And it is a huge app, so very impressive. And thanks. Thank you all, and let us know on when you test.
Yeah, there you go, right? So now go build. So with that
Exactly.
said, see you next week, same time for another episode on AWS Show and Tell. Thank you, folks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.